This arrangement needs some serious work. Now, part of why it looks so bad is that it's been underwatered. It's also been under very intense grow lights, and so the combination of that with being underwatered has really caused a lot of problems. But part of the reason for the problem, I want to show you what this looked like when I first got it, and that was about 2 years ago, not quite 2.5 years ago, I made a succulent-topped pumpkin. So these are all cuttings that were on top of the pumpkin. And you can see here's what it looked like after I took the cuttings off and I put them all in here. One of the challenges with cuttings is they don't all grow or root at the same pace. And also with this, I had some Haworthias in here, which need very different amounts of light than the Echeverias. So I eventually pulled out all of the Haworthias and left just the Echeverias and Crassulas and things that I knew could handle a lot of light, which was great. Except I am a chronic underwaterer, and so these cuttings just didn't get enough water. They also had mealybugs a bunch of times. I know I wasn't super faithful in recording when I treated them with mealybugs, but it did happen a number of times. So you can see I did repot some things, but they were just really, really problematic. It was really hard to get all the mealybugs out, which now the mealybugs are out and these Echeverias are looking pretty good, but I am going to pull them out and actually pot them individually. That way I can give them the care that they need and help each of them look a little bit better. So this one has got, this curved stem. I'll just chop it off right here. I am not going to save the base, partly because I'm not in the mood for taking care of and nurturing all these plants. Without leaves, it's also less likely that it'll put off offshoots, though it can. This one, I normally would not repot something like this until this little baby is bigger, but it's really not getting the care that it needs in here, and I'm pulling everything else out. So I'm gonna pull that one out, and I don't know if you can see very well. Let's get in maybe a little closer here. And you can see there are some little babies along the stem too. So that one's got a bunch. So if I can water it a little bit more frequently, that one is gonna look awesome very, very soon. These will do just fine planted on their own. These will as well. And then this one, it just needs to be rehydrated. So I don't normally do water therapy, but this one is underwatered enough that I could. I don't think I will, because I'd prefer to just gradually help it develop a healthy root system and not have to worry about really catering to it, just watering it a little bit more frequently. So I'm gonna get those potted up and show you what it looks like. Alrighty, I got them all potted up. As you can see, we ended up with 7 different individually planted succulents. So I decided to combine all of the sedums together since they will all have the same care needs and they're all roughly the same size, and the roots were about the same, so those should do well together. This one's going to need to be watered a bit more frequently than all the rest to help it rehydrate. And then on this one, I did repot it like I mentioned earlier, but I was very, very careful to not disturb the roots as much as possible. So a lot of times when I'm repotting, I'm very aggressive and I don't care if the roots break off because they will grow back. With this one, I wanted to make sure that I was very careful with it because I want all of those babies to keep growing, and it will probably get watered a little bit more frequently than it has been as well, just to help some of these new babies keep growing. So I got all of them added into the Succulent Tracker app. You can see all these with question marks are the ones that I added in. And then for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and just update this and add a photo. This is the one I'm gonna leave as the main plant. And that way I can have the full watering history and I can see the progression of it here and watch how those babies grow. So for 2.5 years after having that succulent-topped pumpkin, we have roughly 7 plants left still, which you could go either way. Say that's a lot to have left over or not very many, but honestly, for the amount of effort that I have put into these, I am thrilled with how this has all turned out. So if you want to go back and watch the video of how I made the succulent-topped pumpkin, that will be available, and also how I repotted it originally as well. Thanks so much for watching.